Matt Williams launches scathing attack on pedantic referees and calls on World Rugby to abolish mindlessly ridiculous law. Matt Williams believes that match officials are stopping the game from developing and has called for a mindlessly ridiculous law to be binned. The former Scotland and Leinster head coach did not hold back in his review of the performances by officials in the Rugby Championship. Mindlessly ridiculous law. He took aim at those who took charge of the Wallabies, matches against Lowe's Pumas in Australia, and the deliberate knock-on law that resulted in 2 sin binnings. In Sydney last week, the stadium was a sellout in full festival mode. It was like turning the clock back to the pomp of Australian rugby in the 1990s, as the stands were packed with the Wallaby faithful who had dragged out of mothballs sets of ancient gold jerseys, hats and scarves, daring to once again hope, Williams wrote in his Irish Times column. The crowd prayed that Australian rugby was being revived from a cadaver-like state into a kind of Frankenstein reawakening, as an attacking monster. Instead, we were treated to a long series of pedantic penalties as the first half dragged on for almost 50 minutes. Wingers from both sides were sin-binned by the most mindlessly ridiculous law as they attempted to intercept passes and failed. A long list of former coaches and players have called for this appalling law to be abolished. Yet, a poor attacking pass that is touched by a defender results in a yellow card, and the attacking team who tossed the bad pass is given a massive reward. An embarrassingly stupid interpretation of the law. While the Wallabies scored 3 tries, the Pumas kicked 7 penalty goals, several from highly technical and very questionable decisions. He also slammed the officiating in the corresponding match that took place in Townsville. In the dying embers of the Sydney encounter, the Wallabies were once again chasing a come-from-behind victory and scored a controversial try as Filippo Daugunu crossed the whitewash, with the 5-pointer being awarded despite a clear forward pass in the build-up. Even replacement fly-half James O'Connor has admitted that the offload went forward. Blatant error. That score has had huge ramifications on the Rugby Championship standings, with Australia leading the way with 11 league points, 1 point more than the Springboks and All Blacks. Joe Schmidt's charges effectively earned 2 bonus points due to Daugunu's try, with Williams dubbing the decision as astonishing. The most astonishing decision gifted Australia its 3rd try when referee Christopher Ridley and his TMO missed a 2-meter forward pass as Filippo Daugunu scored, he added. When the pass was replayed on the big screen, the crowd and several Wallaby players tossed up their arms as the pass was so obviously forward, they thought it was going to be ruled no try. Then, to the astonishment of every single person in the stadium, except the referee and TMO, the try was confirmed. Comical laughter filled the stadium at how such a blatant error could have occurred. He concluded, "We can say the same about the TMO and refereeing on the Lions Tour, the Six Nations, the playoff in RWC 2023, the list goes on. The refereeing system has been failing the game for many years. Despite the urging of coaches and players from across the globe, reform is still not in sight." In a country where rugby is trying to get up from the canvas, World Rugby's officials missed a great opportunity to produce a performance that would allow the talent and mindset of both teams to shine. Instead, they created widespread criticism and disappointment in what should have been an uplifting occasion. Next week, as the Bledisloe Cup approaches and the Pumas take on the Springboks, Ireland must be vigilant. The game has changed for the better, even if the refereeing has not.